All right. Hello, everybody. Today's webcast is on CA API Developer Portal 3.1. My name is Kristen Malzone. I'm the Community Manager for the CA API Management Community. And today's presenter is Dana Crane. So Dana is going to walk through the developer portal, and we'll open up the end of this presentation for live Q&A with Dana. And if you have any questions at all during the presentation, you can ask them via the Q&A window or through the chat window, or you can wait until the end of the call and we can unmute your line so that you can ask a question over the phone line. So I'm going to pass it over to Dana now. Dana, thanks for doing this today.
Not a problem. Thank you, Kirsten. And welcome to everybody. I am Dana Crane. I am the API Portal Product Manager for CA, and we recently introduced version 3.1 just a couple of weeks ago, so I thought I'd jump on here and give you guys a good idea of what you can expect when you download this and install it for your enterprise. There we go. I'll just move ahead and talk about what is new in Portal 3.1. So there's a number of things here that we have looked out into the marketplace, had to look at and understand that there's being quite a lot of push out there. We've reflected that in 3.1. I'll get to those items, but I wanted to touch first on your feedback. So talking with a lot of our users, a lot of our customer base to understand where they are in their implementation process and the kinds of limitations they've seen. So that's what we've really focused on with 3.1, is taking that feedback back in and providing you with a lot of those missing features that you've been seeing that have either been holding you back or would make the experience from your developer's point of view that much easier. So with that said, password policies and greater security are something I've heard back from a number of customers. RAML and WSDL support, the sort of API agnostic approach that we've been seeing out there in the marketplace is now coming back to be reflected here in the portal. Data API is something we introduced in Portal 3.0, which had some good response from the customer base. We've pushed forward with a lot more support for other databases, including Oracle and MS SQL Server as well. One other thing we introduced in 3.0 was monetization, but it assumed that you would always have a start off and monetize your existing developer base directly from the get-go. And what we've heard is that that may not be true, so we introduced a paywall in 3.1. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Out-of-band email notifications and long-standing requests from customers. Don't force me to be logged into the portal to see all the requests coming in. Just send me an out-of-band email, and that's now possible. And then finally, more business reports. We like to put more reports every time we release the portal, and this time we focused on business reports, and I'll get into a little bit of detail about those. So let's just start off with our improved security. So one of the things that have been asked for from the community was a way of managing password policy. So that's now available. As an administrator, you can go in and set up your password policy. It involves most of the things that you would normally see: password length, special characters, number of capitals, history, expiry, that sort of thing. You can set that up as you feel fit. If you're combining your portal with an LDAP, it's important to realize that we are not syncing the password policy that is only on the portal with your LDAP's policy. What you can do is reflect those policies so that if you have a certain password policy set in your LDAP, you want to be able to reflect that in the portal's password policy. You should be able to imitate that. And then when the user comes to change their password or enter the password for the first time, what you can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner is we'll actually pop up a sort of progress report. How are you conforming to your password policy rules? And we'll check them off as they type their password in. So nice little visual metaphor to imitate your password policy. And finally, another outstanding request, long-standing request, is Captcha. And Captcha is now on our registration form, so if that's the way you onboard your developers to your portal, they'll now have to type in their Captcha, and once it's validated, that'll actually go away. It'll hide in the background, and it'll allow them to go ahead and fill out the rest of that form without having to be in their face, because it's quite a bit of real estate here on that registration form. Finally, behind the scenes on every single login page and as well on the registration page, we've introduced what we call a honeypot. Now, a honeypot is an invisible field to the user, but if you're a robot, that field will actually show up when you're going through that form. If that robot field, that honeypot field, is filled in with information, which robots tend to do, we'll actually discard that registration or discard that login, so you needn't fill up your database with erroneous details. Another key driver for 3.1 was what I'm calling API agnosticism, and this is really the way that the market is going. We have standards on WADL files. WADL files are a good way to represent your APIs, but there are a number of newer ones coming up, most prominently Swagger, but also RAML support and Blueprint. There's quite a few others out there as well. And what we're doing is we're looking to see how that traction is playing out in the marketplace and then rolling support for that API format into our portal. So this time around, what we've done is we've reached back a bit and we've said SOAP support in the portal is something we're hearing from our customer base. Today, you can publish your SOAP service on the gateway and push that up to the portal. What we've done is we've actually allowed you to upload your WSDL directly to the portal and then push that definition down to the gateway where it will be instantiated for you. So you don't have that bottleneck anymore. You don't have to go to the admin on the gateway to upload your API for you, your SOAP service for you. You can now do that directly from the portal. Another one that we've added today is RAML. So RAML is an emerging spec fostered by MuleSoft, and it's getting a lot of traction out there in the marketplace. We've incorporated that, so now whether you have your API definition set by a WADL or a RAML, you can upload either one when you publish your REST-based service. Once you do that, what we have with the RAML side is the ability to automatically generate that interactive doc, automatically generate an entry in the API Explorer as per usual with a WADL file. If you're using a WSDL file, however, we don't have an interactive way to play with that back-end web service directly from the portal. Not yet. We're hoping to bring something to market very soon. But at this point in time, all we're going to do is generate you a documentation page that really just links to a WSDL file. What we have done in the meantime is have a partnership with SmartBear. SmartBear are the guys that own SoapUI. SoapUI is probably something that our customer base is very, very familiar with. SoapUI Pro has the support for plugins, and what we've done is we've created a plugin for the API portal. So if you're a SoapUI Pro user, you can go ahead and create a new project and then click on the project, choose load APIs from CA API Developer Portal. And once you click that link, you'll see a dialog pop up that allows you to go ahead and specify where your API portal is located, punch in your creds, and depending on what credentials you have presented to the portal will present back a list of APIs that you have access to. You can select one or more of those, and they'll automatically populate into your project. So it's a fairly quick and easy way to get yourself a testing tool for those SOAP services, but also for your REST services as well. We'll talk a little bit about paywalls now. Originally with 3.0, like I said, we assumed that you would be launching a new portal, and that portal would immediately start capturing credit card information from any developer who signed up. What we've done in 3.1 is we've allowed you to sort of have a double entry there. You can start off your developers in non-monetized plans, so they can be onboarded to our default bronze plan or default sandbox plans. None of those are monetized out of the box. But when the developer has finished his testing and is ready to move into production, for example, you might have additional plans, maybe a gold plan, maybe a platinum plan. And those plans will have a monetization factor associated with them, either a per hit basis or possibly a recurring monthly fee, whatever it happens to be. When they select to move to that plan within the UI, we'll immediately kick them out to your billing engine. By default, that is recurring, and ask them to capture their credit card information. Once that's captured, they'll be returned back to the portal and continue working as usual. But now you've actually captured that monetization information, and you'll be able to move forward while billing them. Of course, they can always drop back to a non-monetized plan as well. That billing information that you've recorded in Recurly will stay there, but it will no longer be resulting in an invoice for that customer. One of the other key pieces of feedback that we've heard from customers is the out-of-band email capability. So now, by simply throwing a switch within your conf properties file, it's just a fairly simple configuration file that you can turn on these values, you can send either a per request email, that is, if somebody registers on the portal and that registration request comes into your request bucket, you can get a request sent to you out of band telling you that the person's just registered, or if they send in an account plan change request or an API plan change request or an application request, all of those on a one-for-one basis can be sent as out-of-band emails to you to notify you immediately when that request comes due. The other way that we've done this is to give you sort of a digest view. So if you prefer not to have those per request emails come into your inbox or spamming you on a minute-to-minute basis, what you can do is sign up for a daily one instead, and that means 6 a.m. every morning, once a day, every 24 hours, server time. They will send you an email that has a summary of all the outstanding requests, so requests that haven't been processed in the last 24 hours. And from that email, you can get a good brief summary of what's outstanding. You can log in and resolve all those requests. You can also have both of these turned on at the same time. So you can have that per request email as well as that digest email. So if you happen to have missed any of those per request emails, you'll get a summary every day telling you what might be outstanding. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about reports. So this time around, we've focused on a lot of user insight reports to try and give you some information about what's going on with your user base on the portal. Some of the key ones are revenue reports. So if you have a monetized portal, what you want to be able to understand is which organization is generating me the most revenue. So it's one of those ranking reports. You get the top 10 list that comes back and shows you which of the organizations you should probably be paying more attention to because they're generating more revenue for you. You can also drill in and look at it on a per organization level in the top left-hand corner. Pick the number of months, pick a specific organization, and then get a per month listing of all the invoices that developer has been sent. So it can give you a pretty good idea just to drill in on a per organization basis. Moving to the right-hand side, the new registrants report. So this was a common request from customers. I'm running a marketing campaign, or I've just had a hackathon, and I want to know how effective was that? How many signups did I get in the last week, or the last 10 days, or the last month based on the marketing programs that I'm running? So this allows you to take a look at that pickup of new registrants, new developers signing into your portal over some period of time, give you a good idea of how your developer community is expanding. Once your developer community is expanding, in the bottom left-hand corner, you probably want to get a good overview of the user reports. Now, you can drop down to the CMS underlying the portal and sort of kind of tease that out. And this is a very quick and easy way of giving you a summary of who is actually registered in what capacity on the portal. So you can drill in and get a per role look. In other words, you can have a look at how many developers have signed up or how many API owners are currently using the portal. Or you can back off and have a summary report as shown here, which gives you a pretty good overview of all the different roles, publisher roles and developer roles, and just a count of those on the portal to give you an idea of how big your community is growing. And then finally, API uptake reports. This is where I've introduced a brand new API or a brand new version of the API, and I want to understand, have I marketed this correctly to my developer base? Have I informed them? Have I used all the means possible to get the word out that there's new functionality that these customers should be adopting? So this is, give me a time period, last 7 days, last couple of weeks, how many organizations, how many applications have added this new API or this new version of my API to their application in that last fortnight. So that's really a way of the API developer understanding how well he's getting that word out, how well his APIs are being adopted. So finally, for those of you who have been on API Portal 3.0, you can now upgrade. I'm sorry, this is actually saying API Developer Portal 3.0 upgrade package. That was a while ago. This should actually read API Developer Portal 3.1 upgrade package and install image. They are now available from the URL at the top of the page there. And they come along with a detailed upgrade guide. You can also get the upgrade guide and technical documentation online as well at our community's wiki. So that is available for you to reference online as well. And I know the doc team would appreciate if you had a look at that. There's also a feedback mechanism that you can use. You can also print your own READMEs, your own PDF files directly from that documentation if you want to take it offline as well. But to get the 3.1 package, log into the customer support portal. You should be directed to your download area, and you'll be able to download either the upgrade package if you already have 3.0 installed, or your brand new 3.1 image if you're a brand new customer. Finally, for those that are moving from 3.0 to 3.1, the upgrade is fairly straightforward. We improve this every time. We've got great feedback from our community. We've pointed out some of the limitations, some of the manual steps, and we have been streamlining that with scripts as we go along. So every time we hope we are getting better. Certainly appreciate any feedback you guys can give us, and we try and make this as seamless as possible. So that upgrade should be as easy as usual. The upgrade documentation is available online as well if you want to access that. And of course, we'll work with any 8.x gateway. So that's 8.0 up until 8.3, which I believe is our last one that we released a couple of months ago. So any of the 8.x series will work with both the 3.0 and the 3.1 gateway. Please make sure that you do upgrade your portal components on the gateway when you move to 3.1, however. And with that, I will open up the phone line, or I guess the chat line, and if you have any questions, please submit them in the chat window or the Q&A window.
Great, thank you, Dana. Yeah, so like you said, you can ask questions in the chat window, the Q&A window, or you can raise your hand and I can unmute your line if you'd like to ask a question over the phone. You can also unmute your own line by pressing #6 or *6. If you think of a question later, you can post it in the API management community, which is ca.com/talkapi. I'll post a link to that right now in the chat window. So does anyone, I don't see any questions in the chat or Q&A windows right now. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask over the phone? And we'll post a recording of this webcast to the API management community as well as the slides. All right, I don't see any questions coming in. Dana, looks like you did a great job covering everything. I will send an email out to everyone who joined this webcast today with a link to the recording and slides. So feel free to respond to that email if you do think of any questions. Or like I said, you can post questions to the API management community at ca.com/talkapi, and Dana can answer those questions there. Thank you again, Dana, for presenting today, and thank you everyone for joining.
No problem.